In 1582, one of Japan's most powerful warlords died. Oda Nobunaga had just been ambushed at Honnoji Temple in Kyoto by his own general, and his ally Tokugawa Ieyasu suddenly found himself trapped deep in enemy territory with only a handful of retainers. The journey back to his home province meant crossing more than 100 miles of hostile land controlled by Nobunaga's enemies, any one of whom would gladly capture or kill the vulnerable Tokugawa leader. But Ieyasu had something his enemies didn't expect. Hattori Hanzo, a shinobi commander from the Iga region, and his network of intelligence operatives. Within days, Hanzo had organized local guides, mapped safe routes through mountain passes, and created a corridor of intelligence that allowed Ieyasu to slip through enemy territory completely undetected. No dramatic rooftop battles, no throwing stars glinting in moonlight. Just information, planning, and the unglamorous work of espionage that kept one of Japan's future shoguns alive. This was the reality of the shinobi, the quiet, strategic agents behind the legends of the ninja. Everything you think you know about ninjas is probably wrong. The black-clad assassin hurling shuriken at samurai, that's Hollywood. The supernatural shadow warrior who could turn invisible or walk on water, that's kabuki theater from the 1600s. The historical reality of the shinobi is far more interesting than the myths, and understanding what these intelligence operatives really did reveals one of feudal Japan's most sophisticated espionage systems. Let's start with the most iconic myth. That all-black ninja outfit. You know the one, head-to-toe black clothing, face mask, the works. It's in every ninja movie and video game. But here's the problem. There's no historical evidence that shinobi wore this costume. The black outfit comes from kabuki theater, where stagehands called kuroko dressed in black to move scenery during performances. Audiences understood that these black-clad figures were invisible by theatrical convention. When playwrights wanted to show a shinobi assassinating someone on stage, they simply had a kuroko perform the kill, and the visual metaphor was born. By the time kabuki theater was codified in the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, this theatrical device had become synonymous with shinobi, but it had nothing to do with historical practice. What did actual shinobi wear? According to the Shoninki, a ninja manual written in 1681, shinobi used 7 standard disguises called shichihode: mendicant monk, wandering Buddhist priest, mountain hermit, or yamabushi, merchant, street entertainer, performer, and everyday peasant clothing. The whole point was to blend in with the civilian population, not to announce yourself as an infiltrator by wearing a distinctive uniform. When shinobi did operate at night, which wasn't actually their primary activity, historical sources suggest they wore dark blue, brown or gray clothing that blended with shadows far better than pure black, which creates a distinctive silhouette. A shinobi's job was to be invisible by being unremarkable, not by wearing a costume that screamed, "I'm a spy." The second major myth is that shinobi were primarily assassins. This is almost entirely backwards. Historical shinobi were intelligence gatherers, spies, scouts, and information brokers operating during Japan's Sengoku period, 1467 to 1615, when the country was fractured into competing domains locked in constant warfare. In this environment, knowing your enemy's troop movements, alliances, and supply lines was often more valuable than killing a single general. A 1603 Portuguese-Japanese dictionary, compiled by Europeans who actually encountered these operatives, defined shinobi as a spy who sneaks in, not an assassin. A spy. The greatest concentration of shinobi came from 2 regions in central Japan, Iga province and the Kōga district. These mountainous areas were politically independent, governed by village councils rather than feudal lords, and they developed sophisticated intelligence traditions. The Iga-Kōga alliance first appears in historical records in 1487 at the Battle of Magari, where their irregular warfare tactics proved decisive. By 1560, they'd formalized their constitutional relationship, but their independence made them targets. In 1581, Oda Nobunaga, the warlord we met earlier, launched the Tensho Iga War to crush Iga's autonomy. He sent 40,000 troops against a few thousand Iga defenders. The Shinobi fought using every guerrilla tactic they knew: ambushes, night raids, intelligence networks. But they were overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Iga fell, and many Shinobi scattered to find new employment. This is exactly when Hattori Hanzo became so important to Tokugawa Ieyasu. Hanzo commanded displaced Iga Shinobi who needed work, and Ieyasu needed intelligence operatives. It was a professional relationship based on espionage, not mystical assassinations. What about those throwing stars, the iconic shuriken? Here's what modern historians say. It's unclear whether medieval shinobi actually used star-shaped throwing blades in any systematic way. The historical record is suspiciously silent. The Bansenshukai, the most comprehensive shinobi manual compiled in 1676 by Fujibayashi Yasutake from Iga traditions, describes intelligence-gathering techniques, infiltration methods, and psychological warfare tactics, but gives little attention to exotic weapons. When shinobi did use weapons, they carried practical tools: swords, spears, bows, and things that wouldn't draw attention. A star-shaped blade you throw at people is about the least practical weapon imaginable for a spy trying to stay unnoticed. You'd have to carry multiple projectiles, you'd lose them when you threw them, they're difficult to aim accurately, and they'd immediately identify you as something other than the merchant or monk you were pretending to be. The shuriken, like the black outfit, probably emerged from theatrical traditions and was amplified by 20th century films. The Bansenshukai reveals what shinobi actually studied: weather prediction for planning operations, astronomical timing, psychological manipulation, codes and ciphers, architectural analysis for infiltration, disguise techniques, and social engineering. One section describes how to read people's characters and vulnerabilities to recruit informants. Another discusses the ethics of espionage and the relationship between shinobi and their employers. These weren't superhuman warriors. They were professional intelligence operatives with systematic training in a dangerous trade. The transformation of shinobi into ninjas with supernatural powers happened in stages. First came Edo period popular fiction and theater, which exaggerated shinobi abilities for entertainment. Then in 1964, the Japanese film Shinobi no Mano portrayed ninjas as conflicted, skilled operatives, still somewhat grounded in reality. But when the ninja craze hit English language media in the 1980s, all connection to historical practice vanished. Hollywood ninjas could disappear in puffs of smoke, walk up walls, and fight entire armies single-handedly. By the time Western audiences got their ninja movies, the historical shinobi had been buried under layers of theatrical convention, martial arts fantasy, and action movie physics. What's lost in all this mythology is how sophisticated Japan's feudal-era intelligence networks actually were. During the Sengoku period, successful feudal lords, called daimyo, maintained extensive spy networks. Shinobi might spend months or years embedded in enemy territory, posing as servants, merchants, or monks while gathering information. After the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, the decisive battle that ended the Sengoku period and established Tokugawa dominance, Hattori Hanzo's son helped Ieyasu formalize intelligence operations under Tokugawa rule, essentially creating an early modern secret service. These weren't fantasy ninjas. They were bureaucratized spies with standardized training and protocols. The real shinobi deserve better than the mythology that's replaced them. They were ordinary people who developed extraordinary skills in espionage and irregular warfare because Japan's Warring States period created demand for those skills. They operated in a moral gray zone. Samurai codes of honor didn't fully apply to them, which is partly why later Japanese society preferred to romanticize them rather than acknowledge them. But their intelligence work shaped Japanese history as much as any samurai sword. When you strip away the theatrical black costumes, the throwing stars, and the supernatural abilities, you find something more interesting. Professionals who understood that information was power, that blending in was better than standing out, and that the unglamorous work of espionage could change the outcome of wars. Hattori Hanzo didn't save Tokugawa Ieyasu in 1582 by defeating armies in combat. He did it by knowing the terrain, maintaining networks of local contacts, and getting his employers safely through hostile territory without anyone noticing they'd passed. That's what Shinobi really did, and it's probably cooler than anything Hollywood ever invented. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.